The world today stands on a very delicate edge, with tensions brewing and conflicts raging in various regions. The prospect of a third world war looms ominously, raising questions about its potential impact on the global economy. If World War III were to start today, it would bring massive changes to the world, especially in how economies work together. In this video, we will delve into the possible effects of such a catastrophic event unfolding in today's interconnected world. But before we start, make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get regular updates. Let's get started. Escalation and triggers. The outbreak of World War III would likely stem from a complex web of geopolitical tensions, territorial disputes, ideological conflicts, or nuclear proliferation concerns. Escalation could be triggered by several factors, such as aggressive military maneuvers, cyber attacks, or even diplomatic miscalculations. In today's hyper-connected world, the speed at which tensions can escalate and spread is unprecedented, heightening the risk of a large-scale conflict. Number 1. Disruption of global supply chains. If there were to be a World War III, one of the immediate effects would be the disruption of supply chains all around the world. When it comes to obtaining raw materials, components, and finished items, a great number of industries are strongly dependent on international trade. Any disruption to this intricate network of supply chains would have far-reaching consequences, leading to shortages, price hikes, and economic unrest. Whether it be the pharmaceutical industry, the automotive industry, or the electronics industry, no industry would be safe from the effects of a worldwide battle. Number 2. Infrastructure destruction. If a third world war were to start today, it would severely impact the global economy. Key infrastructure such as roads, bridges, and power plants could become targets, leading to widespread destruction. Reconstructing these vital structures would demand a substantial investment of time, finances, and resources, consequently hindering economic recovery. The process of rebuilding would not only strain national budgets but also delay the resumption of normal economic activities worldwide. Additionally, disruptions in transportation and energy supply chains would further exacerbate the economic downturn, affecting businesses and livelihoods on a global scale. Thus, the onset of a third world war at present would have severe and lasting effects on the globe's intertwined economies. Number 3. Impact on trade and commerce. Trade would suffer a severe blow in the wake of World War III. Nations caught in the conflict would likely enforce trade barriers, tariffs, and sanctions against one another, causing a steep drop in worldwide trade. International agreements and organizations meant to regulate trade would struggle to function amidst the turmoil of war, worsening the economic crisis. With trade declining sharply, economic growth would suffer, leading to higher unemployment rates and worsening recessions worldwide. The consequences of such a conflict would be dire, impacting the livelihoods of millions and creating significant challenges for global economic recovery. Number 4. Financial markets and chaos. Financial markets would experience unprecedented volatility in the event of a world war. Investors would quickly retreat from unstable investments, seeking refuge in safer options like gold, bonds, and currencies from neutral nations. Stocks would plummet, currencies would swing erratically, and the prices of commodities would skyrocket amidst widespread uncertainty. Governments would face mounting pressure to stabilize their economies as central banks worked tirelessly to prevent a complete collapse. The ripple effects would be felt across industries and nations, disrupting trade and supply lines, leading to widespread job losses and posing significant challenges for global recovery efforts. Maintaining stability in such disastrous times would require swift and coordinated action from international institutions and governments alike. Number 5. Impact on businesses and employment. If World War III erupted today, it would severely impact the global economy, particularly in terms of jobs and employment. Industries would face disruptions, causing many people to lose their jobs and struggle to find new employment opportunities. Businesses would find it challenging to function amidst the chaos, leading to layoffs and closures, which would ripple through families and communities across the globe. The uncertainty and instability of wartime conditions would create significant hurdles for the workforce, exacerbating the already existing challenges in the job market. As a result, the livelihoods of millions of people would be at risk, with long-lasting implications for economic stability and growth on a global scale. Number 6. Energy crisis and price spikes. World War III would likely trigger an energy crisis of unparalleled proportions. Major oil-producing regions could become battlegrounds, disrupting oil supplies and leading to an energy crisis and significant price spikes worldwide. This surge in prices would ripple throughout the world, affecting businesses, consumers, and governments alike. The global economy is heavily reliant on fossil fuels for energy, transportation, and manufacturing. Any disruption to the supply of oil and gas would have drastic effects on energy prices, inflation, and economic growth. Renewable energy sources would struggle to fill the gap, leading to energy shortages and rationing in many parts of the world. With war breaking out, the countries would likely prioritize defense spending over social welfare, exacerbating economic inequalities. Number 7. Global debt burden. During the war, governments around the world would need to borrow huge amounts of money to finance their war efforts and rebuild destroyed infrastructure. This massive borrowing would cause national debts to skyrocket, placing a heavy burden on future generations who would be responsible for paying them off. With economies already strained by the effects of the war, high levels of debt could hinder long-term economic growth and stability. The disruption of global trade routes and supply chains during the conflict would further exacerbate economic challenges, leading to widespread financial hardship for individuals and businesses worldwide. Number 8. Permanent economic fallout. The long-term economic fallout of World War III would be profound and enduring. Reconstruction efforts would require massive investments of capital, resources, and manpower to rebuild shattered economies and infrastructure. Debt levels would skyrocket as governments borrow heavily to finance war expenditures and reconstruction projects. The scars of war would linger for generations, hindering economic growth, limiting new ideas, and perpetuating social unrest in war-torn regions. It would take many years for economies to recover fully, and the scars of the conflict would continue to affect societies for generations. Number 9. Humanitarian impact and refugee influx. The human cost of World War III would be staggering, with millions of lives lost and countless others displaced. The humanitarian crisis resulting from widespread conflict, displacement, and destruction would strain resources and infrastructure in affected regions. The influx of refugees fleeing violence and persecution would further exacerbate social tensions and economic pressures in neighboring countries. Governments would be forced to divert resources from social programs to fund the war effort, worsening poverty and inequality. The global community would struggle to provide aid, resettlement, and humanitarian aid to war victims. The uncertainty and instability caused by the war would cripple economic growth for years to come, plunging the world into a deep recession. Number 10. Long-term consequences. Even after the war ends, its effects would linger for years, if not decades. Rebuilding shattered economies and restoring trust between nations would take years, if not decades. The aftermath would demand extensive collaboration and persistent work to address the underlying issues that led to the conflict. The cost of war, both in terms of human lives and economic resources, would be staggering. Industries would suffer, trade would be disrupted, and uncertainty would prevail in financial markets worldwide. Moreover, the psychological scars of such a conflict would likely linger, affecting investor confidence in international relations for generations to come. Prospects for recovery and reconciliation. Despite the bleak outlook, history has shown that economies have the resilience to recover and rebuild in the aftermath of conflict. International cooperation, diplomacy, and multilateralism would be essential in fostering reconciliation and rebuilding trust among nations. Investments in infrastructure, education, and technology would lay the foundation for sustainable economic development and prosperity. However, the road to recovery would be long and arduous, requiring concerted efforts from the global community to overcome the scars of war and chart a path toward peace and stability. That's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to WWIII Finance for more valuable content. Thanks for watching.